Hello student, very good morning to all of you. How are you? I hope you all are happy, healthy and fine at home. Do you remember what were we discussing yesterday? I think we were discussing about the natural product in that classification of the terpenoids. So that is the that we were discussing yesterday, classification of the terpenoids, and that terpenoid which is one of the natural product, and that is mainly classified on the basis of three levels. So at the fourth level we have seen the classification of that terpenoid on the basis of isoprene unit present in the molecule. There we have seen one chart is there, number of isoprene unit. In the next column we have mentioned as a molecular formula. In a next column we have mentioned as a class of the terpenes, and last one is the example. According to that we have discussed in detail the classification of terpenoids, and now today we are going to discuss about the isoprene unit. Look at the board written as a isoprene rule. So what do you mean by the isoprene rule? And yesterday we have seen that is the isoprene unit. What does it mean? Isoprene unit means what? That is the simplest empirical formula which is obtained or which is seen in all the natural product, which is the C5H8. This is known as the isoprene unit, right? And this isoprene unit, so we have seen the structure of that isoprene unit also, and the structure of isoprene unit like this: CH2 double bond, then here CH3, then CH double bond CH2. This is the formula, structural formula of this isoprene unit, and the name of the IUPAC name of this isoprene unit, if you number this according to as IUPAC 1, 2, 3 and 4, there are 4 carbon atom in the straight chain. Look at here, there is a branch methyl group attached to that carbon atom, means this at 2 position there is a methyl group. Therefore you can call it as a 2-methyl, and see the position of olefinic bonds here, carbon carbon double bond, they are present at 1 and 2 position. Observe this carefully. You will find here 1 and 2 position there is a carbon carbon double bond, and therefore 1, 3, but indicate as a 4 carbon atom in the straight chain, and this is the IUPAC name of this isoprene unit. This is the isoprene unit, and you will find in every natural product, in every natural compound like as a terpene, you will find such a type of the isoprene unit is observed, is you can find there in that, and therefore now is a isoprene unit. One more question may appear in the exam: isoprene unit or special isoprene unit. First of all, let us define, let us state the isoprene rule. Isoprene rule means what? The skeleton structure of all naturally occurring terpenoids is built up of 2 or more isoprene unit, this is known as isoprene rule. Understood this one? The statement of the isoprene rule means what? The skeleton structure of all naturally occurring terpenoid is built up two or more isoprene unit. This is known as isoprene rule. This is the simplest definition of the isoprene rule, right? So this is about the isoprene rule. Now let us see the another term, which is the special isoprene rule. Special isoprene rules, right? This is a special isoprene rule. Just now we have defined the isoprene rule. Now we are going to describe, we are going to define the special isoprene rule. What do you mean by the special isoprene rule? Ingold Ingold is a scientist name. Ingold in 1925 pointed out that isoprene unit in naturally occurring terpenoids were joined head to tail. This word is very important. Head to tail. Head being the branched end, that is head of the one unit is linked to the tail of the next unit, and this is known as special isoprene rule. Understood this one? This is a special isoprene rule. This word is very, very important as far as special isoprene rule is considered over here. Isoprene rule, just now we have seen. Isoprene rule means what? The skeleton structure of all naturally occurring terpenoid is built up two or more isoprene unit. This rule is known as isoprene rule. And special isoprene rule means what? Ingold in 1925 pointed out that the naturally occurring terpenoids were joined head to tail, that is the head of the one isoprene unit is linked or is attached to the tail of the next unit, and this is known as a special isoprene unit. Now let us look at an example, suitable example of this, how the head going to linked with the another isoprene unit, that is known as a special isoprene rule. Let us see over here this one, CH2 double bond, then here CH3, then let us see here CH double bond CH2, right? This is one of the isoprene unit, then plus let us see here CH2 double bond again CH3, then CH double bond CH2. Look at what I did. I wrote two structure. I am going to add these two structures together. Now what is going to happen now? I am going to show the framework, or what we can call it as a carbon skeleton over here. Carbon, carbon, here carbon. Now this carbon and this carbon atom. Now here dotted line. Remember here, this is the isoprene unit. How to recognize that which one is a head and which one is a tail in this case? Now toward the end of the branch side, it is a branched side. So you can call this terminal carbon atom, you can designate as a head, and now it is away from the branch. So you can call it as a, or you can designate, or you can denote by letter T. T indicate as a tail, H indicate as a head. Now in this isoprene unit, this is the head and this is the tail. now another isoprene unit, I am written the structure of that another isoprene unit. Now tell me which one is a head and which one is a tail. Again this one is a head because it is nearest to the branch, and this one is again as a tail. Understood this one? When you join these together, what you are going to get over here? Here carbon, again carbon, then another carbon and carbon. Here I have shown only the framework of that natural product. Now tell me, here this is the joining where the bond is going to form between these two. So this is a head to tail joining, right? This is now look at here, this is a T for tail of the first isoprene unit, and this one is a head, right? H indicates as head, means head of the another isoprene unit. They are joined together in a very peculiar manner, very systematic manner, and therefore that type of the rule is known as who pointed out that, who suggested that special isoprene rule, that is Ingold is a scientist name. He pointed out that, he mentioned that, he suggested that every natural product has built up by head to tail, then and then that are the natural compound or the natural product. So this is the thing which we have seen over here. Again remember the isoprene rule, and the special isoprene rule means what? With the help of suitable example we have learned these terms. Now let us look at as the application of this rule. Application of this rule. Now let us see here application of this rule. Two rules are there. Now application of rule. Application. Two rule we have seen. One is a isoprene rule and another one is known as a special isoprene rule. Both the rule, with the help of suitable example, we have learned these two rules. Now the next point which we are going to discuss is the application of rule. Applications of rule. Applications of rule. Applications of rule. Now there are two rules are there. Rule number one, what is that? Rule number one is that this rule helps in determining the framework of unknown terpenoids. First application of this rule is that this rule helps in determining the framework of unknown terpenoids, because from nature, in the nature, because the terpenoids are present in various parts of the plants, so we don't know the structure of that terpenoids. So that is the first rule, how to identify the this rule, whether it is present or whether it is applicable or not. So this rule helps in determining the framework of unknown terpenoids. This is the first application of this rule just now we have seen. So for this rule helps in determining the framework of unknown terpenoids. Framework of unknown terpenoids. So this is the first rule. Now is the rule number second. What is that rule number second? The framework in which the isoprene rule and special isoprene rule are not followed are ruled out. Remember this word, the framework in which the framework in which the isoprene rule and special isoprene rule are not followed or ruled out. Are ruled out. The following framework are accepted since they are in accordance with the above rules. And let us see some of the example of this. Let us see here, as we know that here this one is a, let us see, there are some of the structure I am going to draw over here. Number one, this is a CS3, then C, here double bond CH, and then CHO, then this side CH, then CH, again is a here CH2, then here CH, then CH, then CH3, here also as a CH3, then this is the what we can call it as a structure of, this is the structure of citral over here, 1, 2, 3, here again as a CH2, this is a structure of citral. Citral is a one of the terpenoid which is obtained from the essential oils, as we know that. Now look at here, there, this is a what we can call it, this CH2 double bond, CH3 suppose is there. This is the head of, and this 1, 2, 3, 4, this will be the tail in that one case. And another one, here you remember, this is the tail, and here we can call it as a branch, or this is a head over there, because there is a branch is there. So means this citral is one of the structure. This is the unknown structure, let us consider over here, but it follows the isoprene rule as well as special isoprene rule, and therefore this terpenoid is according to that, it following those isoprene rule as well as special isoprene rule, and therefore this citral is an natural, it is a natural product. So this is one of the example wood. Now let us look at as another one is a dipentene. Dipentene is another structure, CS3, then CH, then CH, CH, then CH, again CH, you can write here CH, then here we can write here is a C, then CS3, CH3, CH 1, 2, 3, 4, then CH2, CH2, here also as a CH2, CH2. If you see over here, this also is follows what we can call it as a, again here this is the head, because here is a branch side, and here it is a tail you can call over here. So this is a, and here again is a tail over here, and now this will be the head here you can write here. So dipentene, this is the structure of dipentene. Dipentene also follows special isoprene rule as well as isoprene rule, and therefore it is an terpenoid, it is a naturally occurring terpenoids. Now let us see another example of this CS3, then you can write here CH, CH, then CH, here CH, then CH, here you can write here CH, then this one here CS3, then you can write here CS3. So 1, 2, 3 and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, here CH2, here you can write as a CH2, here also as a CH2, now not here, here is a CH, and here you can write as a CS3. This is the structure of alpha pinene, and this alpha pinene also if you see over here, this is broken like this. Suppose here also this is a what we can call it as here again as a head, and this we can call it as a tail over there. Means that alpha pinene also follows the special isoprene rule as well as isoprene rule, and therefore it is a naturally occurring terpenoids. So let us see another example is a camphor. As we know that this is a structure of CH3 double bond O, that is a structure of what we can call it as a camphor. As we know that this is a structure of camphor, and that structure of the camphor also follows the head to tail, that type of the, there is a tail, it is here, you can see here is a head, there will be a tail, and therefore it is also follows the special rule as well isoprene rule as well as special isoprene rule, and therefore this is also the example of natural terpenoids. These all the structure which is written on the blackboard, if you observe these structures carefully, what do you observe over here, or what do you find here? Citral, dipentene, alpha pinene and camphor all are following the isoprene rule as well as special isoprene rule, and therefore these all are the natural terpenoids or the natural compound. This is all about the two terms are very important. One is the isoprene rule and another one is the special isoprene rule. With the help of the suitable example, application of that rule also just now we have seen, and the next point we are going to learn is a very important one. And what is that point? Let us first let me clean the board here, and then I am going to discuss that point shortly over here. So let us see that what is the which point we are going to discuss right now. Let's see here, that is a general method for structure determination of terpenoids. This is a very important one. What is that? General methods. That is a general methods for structure determination of terpenoids. So this is the point which we are going to discuss right now. What is that? General method for structure determination of terpenoids. And terpenoid, as we know that it is one of the natural product, and how we don't know the structure of that terpenoids. So how to derive the correct structure of the that natural product? Because let me tell you, if you know the structure of any organic compound, any natural product, then it is very easy to determine its physical properties as well as chemical properties of those organic compound, or what we can call it as a natural compounds or natural products. And therefore the first thing is very important for, therefore at a TY BSc level, this is the what we can call it as a new point introduced at a TY BSc level as a natural product is a very important as per as your what we can call it as a chemistry point of view is concerned, as when you are going to appear for the competitive exams in a future, for that purpose also it is very important how to arrive, how to achieve the unknown compound of natural products, or what we can call it as whatever organic unknown compounds are there. There are some certain method, certain tests are there. By doing that test, you can achieve, you can arrive at the structure of that organic compound, or what we can call it as here generally as a natural product. And once you know the structure of the organic compound or any natural product, you can predict, you can find out its physical properties as well as chemical properties, and this is the one way of collecting the information about their properties. Another way is there. If you know the certain set of the properties, then and then you can predict the structure of that organic compound also. So both the way, they are the alternative ways of arriving or to find out the structure of the organic compound. So let us begin here the general method for structure determination of terpenoids. What do you think? There are the certain tests are there, from that we can arrive, we can achieve the structure of the unknown terpenoids. Let us see the first point, that is the what we can call it as a molecular formula, right? Molecular formula. Molecular formula, it is one of the first. If you know the molecular formula, then and then you can know its structure. If you don't know the molecular formula, how do you derive, how do you find out its structure? And therefore, first thing you have to find out the molecular formula of that organic compound. Suppose you have a molecular formula C2H6O. So that is the general molecular formula of that any organic compound, and then we can determine, there are a certain rule, you can by joining that carbon atom, hydrogen atom and oxygen atom, we can draw the different structures are there. So and those are the structure, different structures, they are called as a isomers. Isomers means what? Having as the same molecular formula, but there are the different structures are there. So that type of the compound, that type of the term is known as isomers. The organic compound having same molecular formula but different structures are known as isomers. So that is one of the way of, and for that we require the molecular formula. So how to determine, how to derive that molecular formula? So let us see, first one is a molecular formula is a very essential or very important to obtain the molecular formula, to derive the molecular formula. Then the rest of the thing is we can do accordingly, and we will arrive, we will achieve the structure of that terpenoids. Normally here in this chapter we are focusing our focus toward the natural product, that is a terpenoid. A point is a terpenoid over there, and later on we will see another one, but first part we are studying, that is a terpenoid. So molecular formula: pure specimen obtained from natural source is analyzed to determine and estimate the element present from which empirical formula is determined, and from molecular formula, from empirical formula and molecular weight from which molecular formula is determined. Empirical formula, molecular, how do you derive that molecular formula? from empirical formula and molecular weight. Molecular weight, from that you can calculate the molecular formula. This is the general mathematical formula to derive, to achieve the molecular formula. Empirical formula plus molecular weight is equal to as a molecular formula. In this way we can achieve, we can derive the molecular formula of unknown terpenoids, pure specimen, because we are extracting pure specimen, specimen obtained from natural source is analyzed to determine and estimate the elements present, from which empirical formula is determined, and from empirical formula and the molecular weight we can calculate the molecular formula. So this is the first way of obtaining the, we are trying to determine the structure of the terpenoids. So next point, next test we are going to perform over here, because first test we have performed, here is a molecular. First thing we are going to derive the molecular formula. How do you derive, how do you obtain molecular formula? Pure specimen of the naturally occurring source is analyzed to determine and estimate the elements present, from which the empirical formula can be determined. And from empirical formula is nothing but as the smallest molecular formula, or smallest molecular formula means there the lowest elements are present, like as a carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, sometimes is nitrogen or halogen. So simplest empirical formula or simplest molecular formula we can get, and from empirical formula and the molecular weight we can calculate or we can determine the molecular formula of unknown organic compound. So that is the first way. Now is a second test. What is the second test? Detection of unsaturation. Once you got the molecular formula, next one you have to find out the detection of unsaturation, identify or find out how much carbon-carbon double bond is present in that unknown compound. So that the name is given detection of unsaturation. Detection of unsaturation. Detection of unsaturation. Do you remember unsaturation and the saturation? Saturation are the saturated compound or the unsaturated compound. Many times from the 11th standard we are learning these terms, saturated compound and the unsaturated compound. Theoretically, in a case of the organic compound, those organic compound containing carbon-carbon single bond, that organic compounds are termed as or called as saturated compound, and those organic compound containing the multiple bonds, carbon-carbon double bond or carbon-oxygen double bond, or maybe as a carbon-nitrogen double bond or carbon-nitrogen triple bond or the carbon-carbon triple bond. So that type of the compound are known as unsaturated compound. So first let us clear the saturation and the unsaturation means what. Saturated means containing as a carbon-carbon single bond, or whatever organic compounds are there, they are having as a single bond in those compounds. And unsaturated means what? There must be the double bond or triple bond may be present in the, maybe as a carbon-carbon double bond, or maybe in a carbon-oxygen double bond, or carbon-nitrogen double bond or the triple bond. So that type of the compound are known as a unsaturated compound. So, understood this the term unsaturation means what? Unsaturation means the organic compound containing as a multiple bonds. Multiple bond may be as a carbon-carbon double bond or carbon-carbon triple bond, or maybe carbon-oxygen double bond or carbon-nitrogen double bond or carbon-nitrogen triple bond, carbon-sulfur double bond. So, that type of the possibility, that type of the multiple bond must be present in the organic compound. That compound are known as unsaturation. Now is the detection of unsaturation. There are the certain tests are performing, generally organic chemists performing certain tests for the identification of that unsaturation, whether it is present or not, whether that organic compound, given organic compound is saturated or unsaturated by, there are some reagent. From that reagent, by performing that test, we can easily identify, we can easily come to know the saturation and the unsaturation. One of the tests generally in the lab while performing as organic qualitative analysis, the undergraduate student as well as postgraduate students in organic qualitative analysis, they are generally performing these tests. So, it is a very easy. Do you remember the reagent which is used for that for the detection of unsaturation? Yes, many of you might be knowing, or some of you may be not knowing, but let me tell the when that organic compound is what we can call it as treated or on the action or allowed to react with Br2. As we know that Br2 is a brown in color. When that reagent added to added to that solution which is containing as organic compound, if that brown color get disappears, means reaction is carried out at a room temperature. It means that if the given compound is unsaturated in nature, that once the brown color disappear means the reaction is occurring. Once the reaction is occurring means something is happening, means some of the bond breaking, some of the bond new bonds are forming and the products are obtained. Means if the brown color get disappear, the resulting maybe as another color, maybe as a colorless or maybe another color, it means something is happening, means reaction are taking place over there, and the resulting compound is a product is formed that clearly indicate that the compound, the given compound, unknown compound is unsaturated in nature. So, that is the that type of the conclusion, or what we can call it as a from this observation we can infer that the given compound is unsaturated in nature, because it reacted with that bromine and we are getting as that type of the compound. So, that the resulting compound is formed. 1 mole of the bromine is added across the carbon-carbon double bond. That olefinic compound get converted into as a single bond, forming as a dibromo derivatives. 1 mole of that bromine consume 1 mole of that alkene, and the resulting product is formed. Suppose as a 2 carbon-carbon double bond are present in the terpenoid, it means it can consume the 2 moles of the bromine. So, number of bromine atom consumed in that reaction, that indicate that the number of carbon-carbon double bond present in that terpenoid or in that natural spore product. So, this is one of the what we can call it as a test the chemists generally performing for the detection of the unsaturation. So, the presence of olefinic bonds, carbon-carbon double bond, can be determined by bromination or nitrosyl chloride consumed in addition reaction. Consumed in addition reaction. Let us see as a general reaction here. RCH double bond CH and R. During in the third semester, you already learned this reaction when it is treated with Br2, that is a addition reaction. This one, addition reaction, 1 mole of bromine, because starting compound has 1 carbon-carbon double bond, and the resulting compound get RCH, then Br, then CH, here Br, and this R. So, that is a 1,2-dibromo, vicinal dibromo compound, or we can call it as a dibromo derivatives. Dibromo derivatives is obtained over there. This is an alkene, right? We have taken the example of alkene. So, 1 mole of bromine is added for each carbon-carbon double bond. So, that is what we can call it as a speciality of this reaction, detection of the unsaturation. One more question may appear in the exam. The nature of that question may be like this. Listen carefully. How will you prove the presence of carbon-carbon double bond in or citral, or maybe unknown terpenoids? How will you prove presence of 2 carbon-carbon double bond in a citral? So, likewise, question may appear in an exam. So, remember, these are the some of the trick while studying this type of the topic point to point. I am going to mention, so you always remember here how will you prove. So, this is the what we can call it as a detection of unsaturation, means how do you identify the presence of carbon-carbon double bond in an unknown terpenoid. So, this is one of the tests, that is the detection of unsaturation, means the terpenoid is treated with Br2, suppose 1 mole of bromine get consumed there, it clearly indicates that that alkaloid or that terpenoids containing 1 carbon-carbon double bond or the carbon-carbon olefinic bond present in the given unknown compounds. So, this is the way to answer these questions. So, remember, I think these are the 2 points we have seen while studying as a general method for structure determination of terpenoids. So, remaining points, the points like as a nature of the oxygen or this point we will see tomorrow. I think let us stop today here. Have a nice day. Thank you.